So, welcome on today's lectures uh, about new project type in .NET and how to migrate to it. My name is Bohumir Pospíšil. I hope you all know me. Maybe just from fairy tales, so that's me. So today I want to present you a new project type in .NET and how to migrate all .NET framework project to it. It's a generally good idea to do it. I will explain why, what are the problems, what are the cons, and what are the advantages. In general, when it's not so much work, and usually isn't, it's better to migrate to a new project than to stay with entity .NET framework project. Okay, very brief history. I will just fly through it. The .NET started in the first idea about the .NET was in late 90s, and technically first version of .NET was in the beginning of 80s. I don't know, after year 2000, let's say. We all probably you probably know just .NET 2, but I started to work with .NET 1.0, and I may be the only one, or yeah, maybe you too. Yeah, okay. The older generation. So the important thing about this slide is that the .NET is technically open standard. Microsoft was forced to open this standard by US, how do they call it? The office which cares that monopoly, anti-monopol office. Yes, to open it as a platform, to do it as an open standard, because these days everything was Windows, and they were scared that Microsoft will use their position on the market to their advantage. So that's not important, but important thing is it's open standard. And because of its open standard, really soon after release of .NET was released, let's say, clone of .NET, which was really multi-platform. As you know, that .NET framework is just for Windows. So Mono is first multi-platform framework implementation of .NET standard. Let's leave it like that. In the beginning, it was sponsored by Novell, and then I think even Microsoft put some money into it. And today, it's a part of Xamarin project. You know, technically, the Xamarin is built on Mono. Right now, on the Mono, it's also bit. Mono use also Blazor for WebAssembly. Do you know why Blazor use Mono and .NET standard? Just guess. It's simple, because Mono is written in C, and it's .NET standard is technically optimized for C. So you can everything what you have in C, you can immediately build into the in WebAssembly. So builder for assembly from C is quite good, and it was the first builder which was available. So Mono works on many platforms. Right now, it's connected just with Xamarin. If you connect Mono and Xamarin, I'm afraid you will not do a big mistake. Of course, Microsoft started open 5-6 years ago to new platform because of cloud, because of Azure. So .NET standard, .NET Core was introduced, and the .NET Core is, as you I hope know, it's .NET written from scratch. It's mostly written in C#, and that's the reason why they don't use it for Blazor, because it's written in C#, and for it's hard to compile it for it. So they start with .NET Core 1. It was, by my opinion, just beta version. .NET Core 2 was first really useful version, and .NET Core 3 should be here in few months. Now the plan is, I think, second half of 2019, which really disappointed me. I was hoping for Q2 of 2019, but I'm afraid it will not happen. Okay, so this is the situation which I presented to you. We have very big implementation of .NET framework, of course, .NET Core, sure, and Mono. They all has some, let's say, .NET Core has ASP.NET Standard, .NET Framework has VPF and WebForms, and Mono is by almost 100% now used for Xamarin. So I think you will see the problem. The common, the CLR, common language runtime, it should be compatible, but it's no big deal because in common language runtime, it's almost nothing. It's just for and things like that, just the language. So it's really tiny. So implemented, it's no big deal. The problem is with the base libraries. The base libraries like library for example, for enumerable, for list, for generic list, let's say, dictionary, and so these kind of basic libraries are in this basic class libraries. Maybe you will see the BCL shortcut for basic class libraries, whatever. So these BCL libraries are implemented separately, but technically they are always the same. There is no difference between them. They have same methods. Maybe inside the methods it could be some tiny differences, but they are implemented the same way. So the problem is how to share the code between these implementation of .NET. When you need a list, you need generic list, but you cannot use it because it's you need to decide if it's framework list, .NET Core list, or Xamarin list, or Mono list. So that's the problem. And how to solve it? The first idea how to solve it was portable class libraries. Who knows portable class libraries? And who enjoyed to use it? Yeah, I feel the same. I don't want to talk about portable class libraries, and nobody wants to. You know, maybe just some kind of people with strong masochistic tendencies, but otherwise it was a horrible idea. So, so technically the solution for this is .NET Standard. I guess you probably heard about it. I want to explain what's the idea behind the .NET Standard. So after introduction of .NET Standard, the situation is like that. And that's much more like it. The most important thing of this solution, I will dig a little bit deeper into it, how to share these libraries between technically different implementation, because when you have system point data DLL, technically on Linux, it's not system data DLL. It's completely different library with different name. The functionality should be same, but I guess, for example, datetimes are on Linux implemented differently than on Windows. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. So your application, when you aim to the .NET Standard, feels like you use a library, but if you compile it for different systems, technically it will use different libraries. We will dig a little bit deeper into it. So, but the most important result of this is you can share code between these three words, and especially you can share words, you can share nuggets, and that's the most important thing. So right now the nuggets aim to the .NET Standard, not to some specific version of .NET. Yeah, they can, but they shouldn't. And you can use almost all libraries in every of this platform, all nuggets. Okay, so .NET Standard. .NET Standard is technically list of APIs, list of methods in libraries, list of classes. So list of APIs. That was necessary backward compatible with .NET framework. So they solved it like they created big library for every version of standard, like big DLL, where were all the APIs, all methods, all classes, everything which should be in this kind of version of standard, and they link it to the to it as a virtual DLL. And then when you try to use this DLL on the specific platform, it's kind of find the right one on the right environment. In the Linux, it will find probably different library than in Windows. Maybe we don't have to dig deep into it, but technically the DLL is something like, from our point of view, as an interface, as a definition of API. So that's what .NET Standard is. There are so far 1, 2, 3, 4 version. I think the 2.1 should be on the way. I'm not sure, but generally every version should be should be the subset of the higher version in theory, but in reality it's not true, because they went a little bit fast with 1.6 and they added their things which they remove afterwards from 2.0. Especially it was reflection.emit, and they remove it from because of security. It's like it's potentially you can create the code on the fly. So technically you can generate your own virus. That's the reason why they remove it. So I saw the lectures about it with a guy who was the main developer, and the most repeatable word of him was "I'm so sorry," and he was sorry like every one sentence, you know. And he was sorry especially about two things. First, to remove this kind of libraries between 1.6 and 2.0, and secondly, he was sorry because they introduced 1.6 with the framework 4.61, and then they introduced 2.0, and they make the 4.6.1 compatible with this standard, and it's like it's created mess. So he said, "We are sorry. From now on, we will be better in this, and you should use just 4.7 framework and .NET Standard 2, nothing else. Don't care if you are not forced. Don't care about anything else." So technically, the version of .NET Standard 2.0 is the first you should care about. The rest is like, who cares? Yeah. So yeah, when you have some implementation of .NET Framework, you should be able to implement as high a version of .NET Standard as possible. So it tells you, yeah, okay, my framework is capable to implement .NET Standard 2, so almost probably everything can work on it. But so point of implementation of framework is to implement the highest possible version. Technically, when you have some library, it should demand as low version of .NET Standard as possible. But in reality, I think nobody cares. Everybody aims to a version 2.0. It's the first which is well defined. So in reality, they don't use it. You know, but that was the first idea how it should work. Yeah. I'm not sure if this table is so interesting anymore. Windows Phone is not supported, so it's dead. But as you can see, the .NET Standard 2.0 in every platform, with the exception of Windows Phone, you can find a version which is work there. So as I said, technically, first version of .NET Standard you should care about is 2.0. Yeah, so And the guy in this lecture said the same thing. Forget about the rest, use 2.0, and we are sorry. So I don't know if you check the version compatibility in Nuggets right now. I'm not sure if I see any Nuggets which don't aim on .NET Standard. I think Entity Framework, the old Entity Framework, the Entity Framework Classic, and I don't know how they call it. It's still aiming on Framework. But with this exception, I'm not sure if I see some Nugget which doesn't aim on standard. So then you can use in any platform you want. Your project, as I said, your libraries, Nugget should be aimed on as low version of .NET standard as possible, but we should probably all use the 2.0 and don't care about it. Yeah, and first usable version is probably 4.7.2 for .NET 2. Otherwise, there are some tiny problems. The guy talked about it, and I already forgot it. Use the highest version possible, and you don't need to worry. So now let's move slowly to the today's main point. csproj, or how Kubaks call it, csproj, is the project file in .NET. It's a really old thing. I think it csproj is with us from .NET 1.0, so it's like almost 20 years. It's an XML file. I'm not sure if anyone ever need to look into it, but it's really a mess. It was created and for a long time used just only for .NET, so it's strongly connected with .NET Framework. .NET Framework. And also, it's only tool which can do anything with it is Visual Studio. That's another issue with it. Also, the reason, I don't know if you know it, all files in your project are named in this file, which is really strange because sometimes you remove it from the project, but it stays in directory. Sometimes you remove it from the directory, but it stays in project. You know, I guess it's happened to all of you. So this is a little bit annoying thing, but I think it was this kind of relation was done because of SourceSafe. I'm almost sure it was the primary goal, because then in the SourceSafe you know which files you want to upload or download, and it was the files named in the csproj. I don't have proof on it. It's my theory.
No one knows.
Yeah. So the problems with csproj, as I said, every file in the project is named there. So if you use Git, it's like a recipe for simple merge conflict. So it creates a lot of merge conflicts without any reason. As I said, sometimes you have your file in the directory, you don't have it in the project, and in the way around. There is a lot of things nobody knows why they are there. So if you try to check it out manually, it's almost impossible because it's every information is perfectly hidden in this mess. You need Visual Studio for it, which like 10 years ago nobody cares, but now it's start to a lot of people don't like to use Visual Studio. It's not ready for .NET Standard because in csproj, when you add some library from like system data, you need to add it as a reference. But in .NET Standard, it doesn't make sense anymore because all these kind of base class libraries are accessible like by design. So to add there the references doesn't make sense anymore. I show it to you on the example. And nuggets were added there afterwards, and also you have problems with nuggets that you need to add the other nugget to the project, then edit it as a reference, and it's not really convenient. Again, it can happen that you have reference but you don't have nugget, you have nugget but you don't have reference. I guess it's happened to you too. So these are kind of basic problems with all csproj. The solution for this kind of issues is they call it SDK project. Yeah, let's use this name. Technically, it's the same csproj as the previous one, but it doesn't put there information which are not necessary. For example, it's expected that all files you have in the directory are part of the project. Simple. It has some kind of standard setup, which is same for every project. And if you want to change it, you need to say it there. You need to add there some. Yeah, okay. I don't want this rule. I want the rule differently. Now it's the way around. There are no rules, and every rule you want to follow must be in the file. That's the reason why it's so big. It's I don't know if you recall the JSON file version of project. It was for .NET ASP.NET 1. It wasn't a really good idea, but this is better solution because the csproj is still backwards compatible. Technically, the format of the file is still the same, but slightly better. I think it's more than slightly, but whatever. And so a lot of tools which use csproj are still using this new one, and they are working well. So this is a big advantage. Okay, let's try it out. So if you create new .NET Standard class library, it will be the SDK project. So let's check it out. So first difference is that you can see here's the option edit csproj. Normally it's not there. So if you check it out, this is the whole csproj.
Normally it is there only if you unload the program.
Yeah, I know. I will show it when I will show how to migrate the project. So this is everything what's necessary to have in your csproj. And as you can see, it's simple to edit it manually because it's quite straightforward what should be there. Okay, so now it's aim on .NET Standard 2, but it can aim on many like frameworks, implementation of .NET. So let's say .NET for should work.
I guess frameworks. What is the S on the end?
Ah, I get it. Thanks. Yeah, okay. So it's built, and let's check it out what's there. So you can see there are two directories. It's built for two, let's say, .NET implementation. I don't think it's necessary to have many of them. It's probably useful when you create nuggets. Then it's possible to use there also like directives that some code could be valid for framework, some could be valid for mono, and so on. But I don't think we want to go this way. It's probably useful for guys who who want to write some nugget. Okay, let's add some nugget. I don't know. This is the very favorite one. I'm not sure if you noticed, but there is no package file. It's part of csproj. So let's check it out. This is the way how the reference to Nugget is there. So you don't need to add Nugget package and add reference. It's just like that. And if there is some dependency from one Nugget to the other, it's enough to put there just the Nugget, and it will automatically download the all versions which are dependent on. So it's very convenient. So, and yeah, it's quite obvious. Why to have Nugget there when I will not reference it? Why I referencing Nugget when I don't use it? And also there is no path to some Nugget repository. So technically, the Visual Studio creates some kind of central Nugget repository. It has a version similar as a get, if you recall it. So if you, it's not in the solution directory. We check it out. There are no packages, nothing like that. So also, if you delete some project, if you load the new project, use the same library, it's already stored somewhere. So it's much faster to start new project to build it because you don't have to download the nuggets. It's more convenient. Yeah. So, and of course, it's so simple that from some level, it's much more easier to add packages manually, like just copy it there. And as I said, as you saw, when I change something there, it's immediately reloaded and it's working very quickly. Let's check the dependencies. As you can see, yeah, it's split it because I have two targets. Maybe I can remove it, just use one, just reload immediately. Okay, so if you can see, there are no references to these assemblies. Yeah, because it's part of the .NET standard. I have no idea. I think 1 or 2 versions back, they didn't show any of these assemblies, and they showed just assemblies which were used in this project. Like it analyzed the project, like yeah, okay, it's a list there. I put it there. I don't know why from version I don't know which they put here by default some assemblies just to look nice. I don't know why, because this doesn't make sense anymore. It's use.NET standard, so whatever library you use, it's your call. Yeah. So still we are talking about the BCL base class libraries, and there are nuggets. And if there will be some dependencies from JSON, it will be like the tree. Yeah. So I think I can see. I think you can see the idea that it's quite simple, straightforward, easy to edit. You don't need Visual Studio anymore. So yeah, I really fall in love with this csproj. Yeah. So we already check out some features. Yeah, I didn't talk about transition references. So if you add some references to some project and this project has references to other project, you can use the references from the third project. It's transition like you can see objects from the project. I'm not sure if I'm so happy about this feature, but it's possible to turn it off. You can add the parameters there, and you can turn it off these transition references. I will probably do it because then everybody will use repository in controllers, and I don't really like it. Yeah, so this is just yeah. We already talked about the nuggets. Nugget repository is the central. Yeah. Yeah, I think we talked about everything of it. Yeah, I show you that it allows the multiple targets. I think you saw it for yourself that it's quite simple to read. Yeah, that the load and reload is much faster. It's probably an obvious feature, but you probably saw it when I edited the CS4 file. It was like nothing. Yeah, it's I migrate all, not all, most of our project to this SDK format, and guys says that all of them feel that it's faster. So it's for sure that's a big advantage. So I think the biggest advantages of this CSPROS file, it's faster, it's easy to read, it's easy to edit, it's work better with nuggets, and you have much less problems with merging in Git because there are no changes in this file when you add or remove some file or move. So the merge conflicts are much less happening much less often. Yeah, you need new Visual Studio 2017, and I will not tell you the version. It's like 0.6 or 8. I'm not sure. And they improved the working with this project in every version. So just download the highest possible. So now I will show you how to migrate the project to the new SDK. And it's quite simple process, but I will show some, let's say, small issue you need to be watchful. Okay, this is slow. Yeah. This is one of our projects. It's called Titan, and it's like 4 years old project. So every project it's created in it's there in old csproj and entity framework csproj. I choose the simple one to not to embarrass myself here. So I choose to migrate this csproj to the heck to new project style. As you can see, it's really the old ugly version file. I just put it here to have backup. Also, there is just one package, Apple Plus. If you work with Excel, it's a really great package. I recommend it. Okay, so now I unload the project. So we had the class library here. I delete everything and just put here this. Guys use 4.7.1, so I just change it because otherwise it would screaming that it's not compatible, blah blah blah. Yeah, the nugget is the Apple Plus, EP Plus. So here. Oh, that's the And now I need to add there the, sorry, I don't recall it from heart. References to projects. So it's like this. And I have backup here, so I just find which references I need. Yeah, maybe I do it just like that. Now it's Apple Plus. Yeah, they have their candle, which is copied as a DLL. So I need to add it there. Apple Plus I don't have to add there because it's already added automatically as a nugget. But yeah, it should be fine like that. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Maybe I'm switching too fast. I hope it will be fine. You can do everything from UI of Visual Studio. Visual Studio is completely compatible with this kind of project, but as you can see, it's much faster to just edit it. And I need to change yeah, here we go. These are the project references. You don't need all this shit. All what's necessary is just the name and it's just the path and that's all. Type nav sources. Okay, this look nice. And maybe I will put the reference into separate item group. Just I'm not sure if it will work or not, but I don't want to risk it. I'm really curious. So should be all. Almost. So other thing is that I need to change. Yeah, I will delete the package config. I will delete this. I don't know what is it. I will delete the properties. I will delete the app config. I don't need it anymore. So technically, what's left there, I will delete it. Just is bin and obj and a few files and csproj. That's all. We don't need any. Other thing is that this is not everything what I'm doing is completely critical, but without it, some tools can struggle. No, no. Okay. Yeah. So just a second. So this is the project we are changing. This is some magic GUID of project type. So I know the right magic GUID, and it's that. I just change it, save, and reload project. It's strange that it didn't ask for reload. Clever. Strange enough. Okay, so I tried to rebuild solution. Plug and pray. Regarding a sharper, sometimes you need to delete his cache, restart Visual Studio or shit like that, delete all DLLs, but then it's working fine. He struggled with the change in the run, but afterwards it's possible to convince a sharper to work properly with the new projects file. But I guess it's just my problem because nobody else used the wired analysis, the solution wired analysis. I know why it's so. Yeah, I built or succeed. I can start it if you like, but I think you believe me, it will work. So we migrated right here, right now, one project to new SDK. And now it's allow us to check it out and change it. And this is the new CS profile of real project in the real environment. You can do it in your project immediately right now. As you can see, I don't target .NET Standard yet, but in the future it's ready for it. I will do it in our project to target it to the standard, but so far we are a little bit, let's say, cautious, and it's no right now it's no big advantage in it. So, are there some questions about it? Yeah, sorry.
I wanted to ask, there was a project, the project GUI number. It was in the solution file, or
Yeah, it was the solution file.
and
It
is it actually referencing something that?
No, it's like right now I know just two GUIs. One for all .NET framework project and one for new SDK project. It's like the GUI is saying this is SDK project, nothing else. And also it's working without this GUI. But sometimes the compiler behaves strangely. Sharper is really angry, and on the server side it was falling.
So you say it's like a project type.
I know it's project type. Yeah, I know it's sorry, it was not obvious.
Mhm.
So it's a GUID of project type.
Mhm.
Yeah. So as you can see, yeah, if you will do it in your project, you will need get some kind of you need to get used to it. But then you can migrate your whole project to this quite easily. Okay, let's move on. So, and what to not migrate? Old ASP.NET project, it's not very good idea to migrate. I found uh, the way how to do it, but it's not supported. I prefer, in our project we had a discussion about it, and we will migrate to ASP.NET Core. That's our solution on this project. But I think technically it should be possible. If you will try it and if you will succeed, tell me. I'm very curious. Uh, Entity Frameworks 6 has bug that if you try to add migration into the new project, just the adding of migration, it will collapse. It's a bug I think from 2016 or 17. It's still in .NET Framework and nobody cares. It's really sad. So I know that some company creates some clone of Entity Framework with some special features, and it's a fork of Entity Framework with some added features, and you have to pay for it. And in this paid for version, it's forking fine. So they fix it, but in the fork, but nobody fix it in the main branch. It's just stupid.
So there are already is and the framework 7 or not?
No, Entity Framework. No, it's Entity Framework core.
We are using the new
Project
csproj
because you
with
use
the entity framework migrations.
you use Entity Framework core.
Yes, core. Okay.
There will be no Entity Framework 7.
Okay.
Entity Framework 6 is the last of its kind.
Yeah, so then migrate to core.
Yeah. That's our solution. Okay, good point. Also, we are considering to migrate to Entity Framework core, And last thing, in .NET Core 3, it should be possible to use Entity Framework 6, so it should be core compatible. So then they should solve this problem. Because otherwise, how you can use it with core when you cannot use the new project type? Yeah? So I think this should be solved ASAP. I don't think that anybody will try to solve the problems in ASP.NET, but as I read some discussion, guys said that we did it and it's working fine. So probably it should be possible. But for me, it's a little bit strong thing to bite. Yeah, VPF and WinForm projects, technically it should be possible also, but I didn't have guts to do it too. So if you try it and it will work, I would like to see it. And also we didn't migrate the projects where we had a special feature like we copied config files to some other directories and this kind of features. I struggled to copy it into the new project file. I know why it should work, but in general, we decided to redesign our configs instead, so I didn't have to solve it either. So technically, everything what's special in all projects should be we should be able to copy it into the new project, but sometimes I'm not so sure about it. So okay, we are getting to final slide. Conclusion. New project type are very sexy. I love it. It's much better than the old one. We migrated in our project in the Phoenix. We migrated all projects, like from not all possible. From 18 projects, we migrated like 15. Yeah, and it's working with all projects together pretty fine. So you can do it one by one by one. We did the same way. It's open. When you decide that some part of your project should work on .NET Core and some part on .NET Framework, it should be fine. Because the class library, you will switch to the .NET Standard, and the ending final library, they will use Core or .NET Framework, and it should be fine in both ways. So if you still want to leave some projects in .NET Framework, you can, and if you want to have some in .NET Core, you can. It will still work. For sure, you couldn't use ever the old csproj file. There's no reason to do it because when you will create a new project, never create the old one. There is no reason why to do it. Yeah, I know that sometimes it's some extra work to migrate to it. I know that when you use old ASP.NET, it's hard to migrate. It's almost impossible, or probably it's possible, but for me, it's not worth to trying. So, but new projects, not just new solution, new projects. There is no reason why to use the old projects. Really, no reason. So that's all. Thank you for attention. Any questions? Maybe I forgot to mention that if you migrate the project, not every library which is in .NET Framework is in .NET Standard. Most of them, but not every. But these libraries which are missing are as nuggets. For example, Entity Framework 6 is a good example. It's a nugget. It's not in standard. So, but it used to be in .NET Framework. So I know that, for example, old configuration is not in .NET Standard because there is preferred way to do it through JSONs. I don't want to talk about it. If you facing the choice, use the JSON file. They are much better. But you can add the old config file parser, config file user as a nugget, and it's working fine. So either it will be in the .NET standard, the library you need, or it will be as a nugget. All old libraries in .NET framework, which were part of the .NET framework, are migrated to the standard or created as a nugget. There is no exception. Okay, any questions? Okay, so thank you for your attention. Evgeny, you were